What's up, design family, and welcome back to another episode of Fittdesign TV. So glad to have you back on the channel. Let's start. Today's episode is going to be a bit of a technical one. We're going to be comparing and contrasting two of the most common knits that you see on the market, the single jersey or the plain knit and the double jersey. Chances are you've directly experienced and noticed both of these knits in your day-to-day. On today's episode, you'll learn quickly how to visually identify each, understand each knit's defining characteristics, and ultimately the best use case scenario for each of the two knits we'll be describing. What's up, design family, and welcome to Fittdesign TV. So glad to have you here. On this channel, we discuss all things sports fashion, graphic design, manufacturing, and technology. We'll discuss key topics, answer pressing questions, and provide actionable steps on starting your own product line. If you're interested in any of the above topics, stick around. You're in for a good one. Let's get right into it, and we'll start off with the jersey or the plain knit, otherwise known as the single jersey knit because of the way it's constructed. This is one of the most basic types of weft knits out there, and we've done a separate video in the past that I highly recommend you check out, where we've basically gone through all of the different types of knits. Here, because of the construction, because of the type of way that this fabric is knitted, it does have a front face and a back face, and typically the back side is also known as a reverse knit. This type of knit is extremely simple to make and is widely available, and is usually or always produced on machines that only have a single needle. When it comes to visually identifying each, my personal hack is that the front typically is characterized by these very clearly defined V-shaped stitches, whereas on the back of the fabric, we have these interlacing semicircular loops. So that is a surefire way to tell a single jersey knit from other types of knits. Now let's move into the characteristics of a single jersey knit. The first one is that it is an irreversible knit, so it does have a front side and a back side. And for most applications, you have to have the front face upwards. So because of this, it also does have a smooth technical front in terms of its touch and a rougher technical back, again because of the reverse side of the fabric. It is quite lightweight in comparison to most knits, simply because it's less dense and the yarn can actually be pulled out if you try hard enough from both the first course and the last course. And when it comes to its performance, it does curl towards the front at both ends, so it'll curl upwards, and it does curl towards the back along the sides. What does this mean exactly? It means that if you were to cut a hem on a single jersey knit, it will curl upwards, so do with that what you will, and it is a lot more susceptible to fraying, which makes it much more difficult to use a raw edge hem finish on single jersey knits. Look at some common use case scenarios for single jersey knits. The first one is going to be for your common t-shirt. This one is going to be the lightweight spring summer shirt that doesn't require a lot of weight and ultimately is going to be your run-of-the-mill t-shirt. Here, single jersey knits are the perfect option. Secondly, we have underwear, and this is the type of underwear that requires a lot of stretch. Typically, cotton-based underwear will do well with single jersey knits. Just do bear in mind that the finishing on the hems needs to be quite secure. Typically, a turned-up hem with an overlock stitch finish or a piping seam or a bound edge are going to do the job. Also, for certain types of sportswear like lightweight track pants, t-shirts, tank tops, all of these are going to be decent in a single jersey knit. And lastly, we have baby clothing, which also lends itself quite well to being used as a single jersey knit. Next up, we have the double jersey knit, otherwise known as the double rib, the full needle rib, or the 1x1 all needle rib. Here, these types of knits are produced on machines that have two sets of needles. And when it comes to identifying them visually, a double jersey knit basically looks the same on the front and the back. So on the front, you're going to have a single wale of face loop that alternates with a single wale of back loop. And on the back, you're going to have, again, a single wale of face loop that alternates with a single wale of back loop. And pretty much what that means is that you're going to see that V-shaped knit on both the front and the back. Pretty much the front and the back are going to be indistinguishable from each other. Now, let's look at some of the characteristics of a double jersey knit. Here, because of its double knit construction, it is considered to be a completely reversible knit, which means it has no front side and no back side. Both of these sides are identical to each other. This means that typically, because of this double knit construction, A double jersey knit is much thicker and much more heavy than a comparable single jersey knit, which also lends itself to being much more stable and actually compact. And this also leads to its performance when it comes to its tension. It provides equal tension on each side and does not curl towards the edges. And lastly, it only ladders from the end of the fabric that was last knitted. So here, a ladder forms when a stitch is broken. A wale will disintegrate and slip through the previous loop, which causes a ladder in the fabric. Now, let's actually look at some common use case applications of double jersey knits. And bear in mind that a lot of these usages come from the fact that it's quite compact as a material and it has a lot of structure to it. So polo shirts are a great option, specifically because they tend to be made out of fabrics that drape with a bit more structure and that are a little bit heavier and a little bit more, let's just say, rigid in their drape. Underwear, again, is a great option, specifically for double jersey knits, especially those that require a bit more compactness, a bit more compression, and more long-term durability. Sportswear, especially outerwear pieces like hoodies and joggers, again, a great option. And lastly, we have sweaters. Well guys, that is it. That is a wrap on this episode. To recap quickly, we compared and contrasted the single jersey and the double jersey knit. My personal recommendation on this is if you're trying to go for something that's a bit more cheap, a bit more lightweight, a bit more casual, definitely you can go for a single jersey knit. If you need something with a bit more compactness, some thickness, more warmth, more durability, definitely opt for a double jersey knit. Both are great options and both are options that are widely available, so make use of them where you see fit. Guys, if you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing to our channel. We put out great content on a week-to-week basis. Also, there will be a link in the description below if you guys want to have a one-on-one conversation. I know that a lot of you guys have asked for this, so we've opened up consultation slots. We can discuss anything from personal style to manufacturing, logistics, and any other technical details that you need to get your own sportswear fashion brand up and running. So definitely check that link, and I'd love to speak to you guys one-on-one. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Fittdesign TV. Until next week's episode, stay awesome.